Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for coming earlier. I'm not sure. I wanted to be early today because sometimes there's a lag. Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me, please put a one in the chat. Hello, Pam Robertson. Thank you for coming early. And if I can't do anything else, I really am great at quilting. And that's also something that I love. Hi, everybody. I'm pretty sure that I'm live now. Hello, Pam Robertson. If I can't do anything else, I promise you, I am a great quilter. Maria Graham, thank you, thank you. Cheryl Faulkner, welcome. Bouger Prepper, mi sobrina, welcome, welcome. Grammy's Journal, hello. So, my dad used to say, I know it's 3:58, but my dad used to say, if you start early, you'll be on time. To be on time, you're late. And to be late is unacceptable. I feel horrible when I start my lives and something goes wrong. There's like some type of a foul ball. So I wasn't able to add any more moderators. So I will just wing it. And Maria and Bouger and Cheryl, if you guys could please have my back, I appreciate it. Because, once one gets a certain age, stuff happens, and I'll be looking around and doing things and just trying to go over all the things that I promised. So I hope everybody's having a good week. For I'm not sure, Pam Robertson, that's a new name for me. I hope you're still here. I last night was hanging out in the YouTube streets, and I was on a channel called Wind Down Wednesday with Stacy Hands in the Dirt. Bouger Prepper is a co-host, and Nikki, the everyday life of an OCD, the everyday life. I can't even say the whole thing. But anyway, we have so much fun. They ruined my health at night. I laughed so hard. Hello, G Mama Grows. Welcome. And thank you for moderating. And any of you is empowered by me that if you see anything inappropriate language, questions, anything situational, such as my physical whereabouts, just please delete it and we'll go from there. So, oh, hello, Joanne Stevens, my sister. Welcome. All right. So, I have so many things to talk to you guys about. I am so excited. Is everybody ready for is everybody ready for 2023? Do you have your list done, checking it twice? I don't make New Year's resolutions. My life is a resolution. And but what I do have is a vision board which I have just updated. Hola, mi amiga hermana, Yankee sister homestead. Welcome. Hello, David Corey with Crop. You are so inspired by GQUAT. Thank you. For those of you who are new or lurking in the bushes and not checking in, I'd like to tell you GQUAT is an acronym or an abbreviation, and it stands for Garden, Quilt, and Art Traditions. I like to garden. I've been doing it all of my life, If my sister ever puts on her big girls and goes up, she'll tell you about the worms I bought in the house when I and caterpillars and some more critters when I was younger. I've always loved to garden. I always follow my dad around in the garden, and I always like playing with dirt. My sister Joanne Stevens, she was the fancy one. If we were playing in the dirt, she was the one with her little dress sitting on newspapers. I was not that sister. I my hands were always in the dirt. When I was married, I would sometimes go get a mani pedi and come home, and my husband would look at me, up to my elbows in dirt and say, "Didn't you just get a manicure?" I think what he was really saying was, "Didn't I just pay for your manicure?" Whatever, whatever. But yeah, you did, and now I'm in the dirt. So now what? What? Hi, Barb Brownlee. Welcome. Welcome to GQUAT Create and Chat. Oh, one thing I want to clarify, actually, two things. Um, a couple of weeks ago, my goddaughter Raven was in the chat and she was talking about, I was explaining that she was a sommelier. A professional sommelier is one who tastes wine and just about knows and knows just about everything there is about wine. David Corey said, "Didn't I just pay for your nails?" That's what he meant. Whatever. You're gonna pay for more than that if you hang here, and so will I. So that's how I roll. So David Corey interrupted my train of thought. He's so bad. He's always doing something. So let's get to work. One of the things I wanted to, oh, the sommelier stuff. What I wanted to tell you guys, some were volunteering to be a sommelier. Guess what? Professional wine tasters, professional coffee tasters, and David Corey, you can hold your comment with the next thing I'm going to say. They don't swallow. They don't swallow. They taste it, they sniff it, they swish it around the glass, and they spit it out. You don't get to enjoy any of it. Not any. And another thing I wanted, David Corey, no, I'm not slowing down. I'm rolling right along. Another thing I wanted to clarify, sometimes I get so excited. I have so much to tell you guys. I've done so much in 74 years that I get ahead of myself. I just need to slow down and relax. I sort of did last week and treat you guys like I would if you were in my home, which is now a senior handicap apartment. The one thing I may have missed didn't say it properly is that, hello Maria Graham says to everybody in the chat, is that we were talking about fabric, and I was saying a quarter of a yard of fabric, which is 9 inches, a quarter of a yard versus a fat quarter. Both of them have the same amount of inches in the border, but a a fat quarter has it, what, 22 inches by 18, whereas a linear quarter of a yard is 9 inches by 42 or 44 inches, the width of the fabric. One of the first things I want to talk about is this. And this is my vision board for 2023. It still has some of the stuff on it from 2022. And I should probably put it back over here because you could see it better. And these were some of the things that I had going last year in 2022. I actually had started my channel, but I hadn't really started posting on it until Stacy Hands in the Dirt dared me to do something. So that was 20. 22. This is 2023. So I'm just going to amend that. I'm just going to amend that. And one of the first things you need to know is that, oh, hello, Broke Farmer. Welcome and thank you for coming. One of the first things you need to know is that the best plans, no matter how hard you try, they go awry. So I try to be someone that younger people can look up to, and I don't cuss in public, hardly. And instead of saying what happens, I put spit happens. Then I put when spit happens, just wear pearls, make the best of it. Do what you can. Last year when I started, and by the way, my vision board is actually a 16 by 20 inch, 16 by 20-inch canvas that I use for painting. I like purple, so I painted it purple. And I found out that I could hang it as waterproof, and it's not like a piece of paper that you put on the wall with things that you write on. So again, I put spit happens. Then I have a daily affirmation that I'd like to read to you guys. Think positive. Say to yourself every morning, today is going to be a great day. I can handle more than I think I can. Things don't get better by worrying about them. We know that for sure. I don't know who wrote this, but I liked it, so I cut it out and I put it on my vision board. Next affirmation, I can be satisfied if I try to do my best. All you can do is your best. Once you do your best, that's it. That's it. There is always something to be happy about. That goes to the point where the glass is half empty or half full. I'm kind of an optimist. I like to think that my glass is always half full. I am going to make someone happy today. That someone might be you, but that's okay too. You know, the next one is it is not good to be down. Everybody knows that. Why be a Debbie Downer? Life is great. Be the most of it. Be an optimist. Then one of the things I wrote on the board is just start. You may not be able to do everything you want today, but at least do a small piece. Someone who was talking about starting quilting today, sometimes I've had a lot happen in the last 8 years. I woke up from a coma. I couldn't even write my name. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I wanted to quilt. I couldn't thread a hand needle. I couldn't thread a I couldn't thread a machine needle. My family did it for me. And also within the last 2 years I've had a hip replacement, a knee replacement. So again, going back to my art, if I can only do something 5 minutes a day, just 5 minutes, I do it. Sometimes I'm a mixed media artist, but my genre, what I really love to do is quilting. Sometimes I just say, okay, I'll sew until the bobbin runs out of thread. So that's what I do. But I do something every day. And guess what? At the end of some time, whatever period is, I end up and something does get done. One of the other things I had on my vision board a year ago was digital marketing. I have a certificate from a community college in Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign. Well, the class wasn't really taught for someone who was legally blind, which I was at the time. And the class didn't have regular big computers. They were teaching us on 15-inch Mac notebooks that I couldn't even really see. But I had an idea of what I wanted to do. And so I just kept going. Now I have a channel. Now I do my editing. I could probably put out a few more videos, but I do the best I can with what I have. Okay. So last year when I started, I had an old business card. I changed it, changed the color and everything. and I put my name on it, and I put blogger, facilitator, artist, and gardener to keep up with my current interests. I had planned I had planned on blogging, but vlogging is blogging with video, so I changed it and put a V on it. I want to be able to read more. I couldn't really read when I was legally blind. I have a book that I borrowed from my sister. I've been reading for a while. I plan to finish that. And these three little things, not three little things, three little pictures are little dolls that my great grandchildren colored when they came to visit me on my homestead in North Carolina, and part of my traditions journey to tell the story of my 8 generations that I've been alive and the 6 generations currently living, and to tell their stories. One one funny story is that the kids came to North Carolina, and one of them was doing reading a book in school called Flat Stanley. I don't know if you've heard of Stanley, but Flat Stanley is a book about a little boy who was sitting reading a book, and the book fell over on him, flattened him. Long story short, his dad accidentally mailed him somewhere, and he got shipped all over the United States, all over the world. So the kids would get this little cartoon character and color him and send them to somebody in the family to take pictures about what they were, what they saw, and what they did. Yankee Sister Holmes said her daughter had the grands do a vision board before they went back to school after the holidays. That's really good to keep them focused and to have a master plan. So, anyway, Flat Stanley gets to North Carolina. My little homestead was 4 acres, 12 miles outside of the nearest town. Well, I had goats at the time, ducks, chickens, about 10 Cane Corso Italian Mastiffs. And coming from the mailbox wasn't at in the door where the mailman comes. The mailbox was on the street, and the mailman would drive along and just stick the mail in it, and you walked up there maybe a quarter mile, whatever it was, and you got your mail. Well, I got Flat Stanley out of the mailbox so that I could tell the story of living in the country in North Carolina, and I put Flat Stanley down near the fence where the goats and the chickens in my garden was. I stood back to take a picture, and guess what? The goat took Flat Stanley and ate the paper. I had to get the kids send another copy of Flat Stanley. So this is what this part was about. Let me see if I can go up. Oh, without deleting anybody. So has anybody started doing anything in the arts and crafts area? Two things I need to add to my vision board is the winter grow off, WIG 2022. Is anybody else doing the winter grow off? It means you're growing something inside, whether hydroponically or in soil. I decided I didn't want to do so much soil. I did that last year for the MIG grow off, which Roke Farmer was a part of. And then I went to Arizona and I just got burned out. I just did too much trying to be Miss Everything. So I'm adding my winter grow off to my vision board. And then Crystal at Whole New Perspective has a challenge called Jar It Up, which means to preserve, can, dehydrate, do something with whatever food you have and preserve it so that As these prices are going up, up, and up, you will have something to eat. So, boom, I'm adding my jar up to the board, and I'm also adding it to my life. Maria Graham says she's growing herbs. What kind of herbs are you growing, Maria? Or what are any of you growing? My sister Joanne Stevens says Lilac in that crew. Lilac was my chief goat. She was a Saanen, Saanan. Bouger Prepper says, hello, Joanne Stevens. And she was pregnant when I got her. She had two goats. I know the difference between a boy and a girl. But anyway, she had some goats, and I later bought a boy goat for her because I wanted to have yogurt and cheeses. And I know that you can't have cheese without milk. How do you get milk? You get milk from a lactating person or animal. Anyway, she had the goats. I gave the boy goat away because I didn't want two boy goats stanking up the place with their hormones, whatever they have. Good Lord. So I gave him to one of my gardeners. He told me about 6 months later, Miss Penny, I thought you told me that you gave me a boy goat. He said that turned out to be a girl goat, and now I got to do whatever he had to do. I'm like, well, you from the country, you should have known. You should not have gotten them mixed up. So I was always getting genders mixed up. When I had chickens, I think I started out with about 10 or 12 this time. And I left North Carolina and came to Connecticut for some family occasion with my parents. And I'm like, all these chickens, and all I'm getting is 2 or 3 eggs a day. Well, when I got back home, all I heard was cockle doodle doing. Guess what? They were all boy chickens. There were not about to be any eggs coming from those chickens. So I gave them to neighbors for whatever they wanted to do, chicken stew, whatever. One of them said, oh, Miss Penny, we usually use old chickens. That big old chicken only took like an hour to cook. G Mama Grow says she's thinking about entering the Planter Garden TV herb growing challenge. I'm going to throw my seeds now, trying to going through my seeds now, trying to decide. I have a lot of seeds too, and I have an arrow garden, but what I really, really want are tomatoes. I couldn't get the kind of tomatoes online that I wanted, so I found some on Amazon. They were overpriced, but I think my little arrow garden has like 6 pods where you can put things in. I'm going to use 3 of them for tomatoes. That's the one thing that I cannot get from a store that tastes like anything. Maria Graham is growing dill, parsley, and basil. Very good. I have that in my kit that came with the arrow garden. But I don't always do what they say to do. I'm going to do what I like to eat. Barb Brownlee says I planted lettuces, pak choi, hot peppers, thyme in her arrow garden. Also sorrel, moringa, blue butterfly pea in peat pots on a heat mat. Her moringa is already up. Potted it today. Good for you. Good for you. So for my jar it up challenge, I had one pumpkin. It was a small pumpkin, and I wanted it to get as mature as possible so that the seeds would be as big as possible. And when it was cut up, ta-da! This is all I got. It's cool now. I can take the top off, the ring rather. Hopefully, this won't embarrass me and fall. I have one 8-ounce jar of pumpkin, which will make some pumpkin bread, pumpkin granola, or something. But guess what? Look at all these seeds. This had to be an organic pumpkin. It was. I know I didn't grow it myself. I got it from a local farm and I wanted all the seeds. Look at all these seeds. So I'll be able to share. Psalm 146 got some seeds from me, and she planted an acorn squash, and I was nervous for her. I'm like, one seed? Don't embarrass me on TV. And the seed doesn't come up. Put two in. That that seed is amazing. Amazing, amazing. If she doesn't have anything else, she will have acorn squash this year. The next thing I want to talk to you about is like over Christmas and last week, you saw me working on pillowcases. So, ta-da! This is one that's finished. This is almost like the one I made for my great grandson, Cameron, except that I put blue on the top to simulate water so that he could relax before his basketball games. He's a freshman, but he's 6 feet tall and he's got some pretty good skills. So he's playing on the freshman team and the junior varsity team. Then, just to let you guys know, I do a little bit at a time, but here are the two lavender pillowcases that I was working on. You saw me turn them inside out, those of you who were here. And my brother-in-law, Joanne Stevens' husband, saw them. He said, "Sissy, who were those for? You know, I have a birthday coming up. I didn't want him to have these lavender pillowcases." So I made him some more. He has a orange that they have an orange sofa. My sister's been and he have been married 47 years. So it's like he's been my brother forever too. Hello, GT Junior grows at Alaska. Hello, Imani, Anita Newsom. Welcome and thank you for coming. So, ta-da! My sister hasn't seen it, and I wanted to wait for the live. Roscoe is watching with her. These are your pillowcases, Roscoe. And I made them extra large just in case you wanted to put them in the bedroom and not have them in the den where we watch TV and all of the games. Then my granddaughter has a red sofa in her bedroom, and yeah, hers is red. Joanne's is orange. So she has an anniversary. She remarried last year, and she and her husband have a king size bed. These pillowcases are bigger than normal. So these are the ones for my granddaughter, Sharita. So little by little, I'm getting some things done and out of the way. One thing I wanted to show you guys last week. Uh-oh, I know all those seeds didn't just fall on the floor. Oh, guess what? Oh, yes, they did. They're on the floor. But the good news is that I have a helper that comes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. She'll be here in the morning. She's young. She's 37 years old, and she won't have any problem bending down, bending down, getting those up. So last week I showed you guys how to make a half square triangle, and uh, I told you that there are many ways that you can set it up. Actually, this is the way this goes. This is a quilt I made for my mom. It's a very large quilt. I think it's like 120 inches by 120 inches, and it has flowers on it. And I don't know if you can see the brown. It's not one color brown. It's like several. Every block is a different color brown. But this is one thing you can do with the same block. Look how you can alter the design. This is a quilt top that I made, also with half square triangles. And it is batik fabrics in teal and coffee and other colors. And it's very, very pretty. I arranged these like a diamond. You see the diamond in the middle? Diamond, diamond. Okay. The quilt in back of me, I put up there, I changed it. This is the same thing. It is a hello, Catherine Gardening, and welcome. This is a quilt top in purple, indigo, and blues. And it's another half square triangle, a little bigger in size, but I wanted you to see how this block looks different from this block. This block and the one above it are the exact same block, are the exact same block, except with different fabrics. This one is a diamond made with half square triangles. This is half square triangles, and look how I made them look just by changing the way that they're laid out. And you can do the same thing as well. These little scraps that are left over, they're not going to be thrown away. They're not going to go to waste. These will be used for making wreaths, keychains, and a bunch of other stuff. Nothing goes to waste. If you want to make a casserole pad or a table runner, this is one that I made a couple of weeks ago. It's just a couple of blocks, also half square triangles, and I put some batting in the inside. By the way, you guys, I like cotton batting because it doesn't have chemicals or anything in it, and when it gets heated, you don't have to worry about what's in it. But if you wanted to make pot holders, there's something called thinsulate. Thinsulate. It's a type of batting. It's supposed to be heat reflective, but you can't put this in an oven. It's polyester and some type of metal. I made my sister a casserole pad or something like that, and she said it rolled up in the inside. But basically, I don't like this. I just use plain cotton batting. And by the way, cotton batting comes in black, and it comes in basically off white or white. These are some little Velcro pads that you can use when you're making different little things, and you can you can attach them to some of the things that you are working on to the wall and get them to stick. Now, I have one thing that has nothing to do. I'm a DIYer. I like to work with woods. I've taken classes at the community college, and I will post it, but a few years back I took a piece of cedar. It was a plank that had been cut off of a tree that was cut down on the property in North Carolina, and I made a clock out of it by drilling holes and putting the hands. So, ta-da! This is part of a challenge. Yankee's sister said her daughter is watching and loves the colors in my quilts. Thank you very much. So, this is a kit. And you, Stacy Hands in the Dirt, if you're lurking somewhere, you need to come out them bushes because I have your phone number. I will be calling you and sending you this package. And you guys, we're going to hold him to it. We are going to hold him to it to use this in whichever way he sees fit. He can put it on fabric, he can take old wood and make some kind of a clock out of it. Yes, quilting is just geometry. You know what? I'll tell you exactly what quilting is. All of us went to kindergarten. Oh, gee, mama, you wanted one of those kits? I do have another one. I do have another one, and I owe you a gift for helping me moderate when I couldn't even get started. And you can have one as well. You can have the other one. Okay. Yes, going back to what Imani Anita Newsom says, this is my sister, everybody. Hello, my granny's garden, Miss Viola. My sister is a glass artist. I will, with her permission, take some of her pieces out and show them to you next week. Or maybe you can get her, you guys, if you sweet talk her, maybe she'll do it for you. She hasn't done it for me yet, her or my mom. Come up live to so that I can show some of the things that they do. Some of the things that they do. Okay. Oh, I know what I was going to tell you guys. When you started kindergarten and you played with blocks, you didn't worry about what the pattern was or Legos. You just put them together however they would fit. That's basically what you do in quilting. You do improvisational quilting, you just put it together any way that it fits, put some batting in it and some batting, and then voila, you have a quilt. My grandmothers didn't have all those fancy cutting machines, all those fancy dyes, new equipment. I remember Daddy telling me that his mother, my grandma Della, used to send him to the store to get a needle. And quilters back then would go crazy if they lost a needle because they didn't know if it was in their clothing or what. And Daddy said that his mother used to tell him to get a size 8 quilting needle, a size 8 quilting needle. So I'm waiting to hear from I'm waiting to hear from T Nog, the New Orleans gardener, because I promised her a label for her grandmother's quilt. All of you have to promise me that you will make a quilt label for whatever quilt you have so that if something or when something happens to you, you'll know the origin of the quilt. Okay, so let's go over to my craft slash studio area. I am looking at the chat on YouTube on my cell phone, but I can't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. So I'm going to leave it over here and go over to the craft area because I have some exciting things to share with you guys. I'll move slowly so that you don't get sick. Oh, in back of me is one of my paintings. That's actually a charcoal drawing of a denim jean jacket, my favorite jacket that I had worn to class that day. All right. And here are some more things. This is a sign that my great grandchildren made when they came to North Carolina in, oh, it was 2012. And we had Nana Camp. Their mother said, Mommy, are we going to camp this year? And their mother told them, Nope, you're going to Nana camp. So they came to North Carolina. That's part of the Flat Stanley story. And Nana is going to write a book about the three of them. My story is going to be that they were standing by a big bale of hay and it fell over on them and mashed them. And then I ended up with three flat grandchildren, great grandchildren, and they actually painted this sign themselves. Themselves. This is a handmade a pin cushion that my sister made. Now, I want to show you guys some of the things that are going on my craft table. One thing I wanted to show you, those of you who crochet, I see these on Etsy. What this is a spin pool doily. People who have fancy machines, especially the old antique machines. I don't have my antique machine out, Bessie, because I'm working on an art quilt. Last night on Hands in the Dirt, wind down Wednesday, I got the answer right about there was a question about Africa, how many what continent had the most about amount of countries, and I was right, it was the continent of Africa because I had just done a I'm working on an art quilt with that. And when I got to West Africa and I was putting the countries in fabric and I got to Gambia, some of those countries are so small, and that's what this template is above here. You can barely see it, but it's a template of the continent of Africa because the art quilt that I'm doing has each country in a different fabric and in different colors. It's going to be very, very pretty. I will be exhibiting it. Hello, Rambo Green Hands, and welcome. I think I said hello to Catherine Garden. If there's anybody I missed, I apologize. And so now I want to show you guys some of the other things that I've been working on. This is a piece of machine embroidery, like when I make bags and totes. I do have an embroidery machine. The old one I had at the North Carolina homestead is gone now. I bought a new one. I haven't started using it, but I'm going to take some new classes. It's by Baby Lock, and so one of my friends who has a an embroidery machine made a couple of these pieces to put on some of my bags. This one is like fake vinyl or something, fake leather. This one is in some type of fabric. And here is a third one that she made for me. We, uh, you'll find that quilters are like gardeners, and they share and they do different things for each other. You know, different people are good at different things, and different things are ready at different times. Hello, Erica Taylor, and welcome. Thank you for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. And by the way, you don't need an embroidery machine. I'm 74 years old. I didn't have my first embroidery machine until maybe 10 years ago. 10 years ago. And I only bought it so that I could put names on like pillowcases and some of my tote bags, maybe a couple quilt blocks. I was never really interested in embroidery per se. Some of my friends are. They go crazy, go crazy. The next thing I want to show you is I don't have any reason to, but I just love the fleur de lis pattern. And I had a whole bunch of these. And what I'm going to do is take one of these and put it on a quilt label. I promised Tinog, the New Orleans gardener, a quilt label. She has a quilt that her grandmother made, and this was done with a die cutting machine called an Acu quilter. And I had a bag of about 50 of these. I gave them all away except for maybe 5 of these little gold ones. But you don't need a machine to actually do this. You can take a piece of paper, and there's something called heat and bond. This is heat and bond. I like the heat and bond light. It's sewable, and what it is an adhesive. You take and you put whatever you want to make a copy of, like this fleur de lis. It's actually fabric with an adhesive paper on the back. And what I will do when I get ready to put it on her label, I'm going to pull this off. You see, this is what the heat and bond light does. You take this off, it's just a piece of paper, poof, and then you iron it down. It's got adhesive, and then you use a little tiny stitch, and you can zigzag or whatever around the edge, or you can sew it by hand. This machine that I have over here right now actually does 100 decorative stitches. Now, as far as labels, I my preference is to make my own. A lot of people like handmade things, but you can also buy labels that come on a big sheet of paper. I kept my name on everything when I was younger. I put my name on everything too, G Mama. So these are some of you can go to quilt shows when you see quilt shows in town or fabric shops, and you can buy different kinds of labels. But what I do is iron a piece of freezer paper on the back so that the ink doesn't go through, and you can make a label out of something that you bought, or you can make your own. I have bags and bags and bags of them that I bought at different quilt shows, etc. But like the one I'm making for Tina, that one will be handmade. I will put her fleur de lis on it and her grandmother's name, her grandmother's date of birth, her life dates, like when she was born, when she went home, and that'll be a piece of history that she'll have in our family forever. Something else that I wanted to talk to you guys about is fabrics. Fabrics in the United States, you can use anything you want, but the way you can tell good fabric from other fabric is in the United States, most fabric has a name on it. And you see all these numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 14. That shows how many times the fabric was passed through the printer to get the colors that you have inside. Hello, Growing with Hudson. Welcome. Welcome, and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. So, the half square triangles that we were talking about earlier, I just want to show you, and I can do another one if you want me to show you how we make them. This is a pinwheel pattern that the squares are sewn into, but there are all these other patterns that the same half square triangles can be sewn together like building blocks, and you get the same, or actually you get different effects by using the same blocks. We used to have challenges in some of my quilting groups where we would take a whole group, all of us would every month pick a pattern, and everybody would make the same quilt pattern. Everybody would use a different fabric, and at the end of the month you would not even know that it was the same pattern. They would be different colors, different everything. To show you guys that I did finish some of the things we've been working on over the weeks, these are some of the mug rugs that I made to go in a set, in different sets. So this is about 8 of these that I did just sitting here at the sewing machine talking with you guys. I have a daughter who works all the time, and she says, Mom, don't get me anything. I literally don't have any room. And I say, okay, okay. But then I give her what I want to give her, and I make something for her. And as soon as I give it to her, she says, Oh, Mom, that was perfect. That was perfect. Well, if you don't like it, give it to somebody else. But I'm going to do what I want to do. When I cut out the fabric from Roscoe's pillowcases, there was a little bit left. I was showing you that nothing goes to waste. You see these? These are 5-inch squares that I took with the rest of the fabric, and I will pair them with like a plain color, like something like this. I had Kona black out because I'm doing a lot of things with that. And then I sew these together, 2 at a time. Then I sew 2 more together with the colorful one on this side and black over there. Then you have a 4 patch. You have a 4 patch. So I put these in bags, and then I wait until I have enough to do something. These are some 6.5-inch blocks. This is my favorite size for diagonal because you can sew them together, or by hand, or by sewing machine, or by sewing machine. Those of you who have been following, a lot of times when I'm making simple quilts, I take a piece of graph paper and I draw a grid on it. This is just a simple grid. Yankee's sister, I guess her grandkids are going to freeze to death like the plants that didn't get planted, because she has these blocks cut out. She came over here, her and Lorraine Thomas, about 3 months ago. Hasn't sewn. I'm throwing her under the bus now. And I hope the grandkids here, they know that she came and got the fabric, and she's making a quilt that's going to be 3 different colors on the front. I don't know how many on the back, but I like to lay mine out if it's a grid or a pattern so that I can see it. And these are like actually 10-inch blocks that I sew with really fat seams. Like, hello, Teresa Bailey. Thank you and welcome. Thank you for coming. And this is the most comfortable quilt, the most comfortable quilt. And I'm actually making a quilt for 2 of my aunts with this grid. This is the pattern and why I have it out. Does anybody have any questions? I see you laughing, Yankee sister, over there because your quilt isn't done. Catherine Gardening says she loves animal prints. I do too. My mother loves leopard, and she has so many different outfits with different kind. I probably have more than one. And when she's talking about tigers, Mommy says it's funny. She calls them tigers. Hope you're watching, Mommy. Hope you're watching. All right. So, what I'm going to do next, I'm doing all these things not because I'm a scatterbrain, because I'm trying to give you. Everybody doesn't want to sew. Everybody doesn't want to quilt. We will be painting at some time and doing other things, but everybody has a piece of old clothes. Everybody has something that they can sew. So, but before I go to that, I showed you last week this crochet, those of you who crochet, and I showed you how to make, or I told you about making 1.5 inch strands. This is something that a lot of the guys like to do. And we also talked about making homeless beds, but I didn't get to show you how to do it with a, how to make something to crochet. It's called plarn, P-L-A-R-N, and it's made of plastic yarn. And what you do, you can actually crochet old grocery bags, old grocery bags. So to do that, I take and I cut the handles off. They can be used later. So I'm taking the handles off. Mona from Sifting Some Soil likes to crochet, and there are a couple of other channels. Ola Joe, the crocheting sailor, was in the Navy. So I'm trying to make this so that you can see. So what I'm going to do is take just a regular grocery bag and go down and cut like about 1.5 inches. Doesn't have to be perfect. And keep going around and around. It's kind of awkward because I'm trying to show you guys as I go until you get to the end of the bag. Look how long it is already. And this is just one plastic bag. And what this actually is not, you can make it not for a homeless mat but a small one. You can make it for a dog bed. You can use it, especially preppers or whatever. I have made them for doormats outside the door because it's waterproof. Now, so I don't think I brought my crochet hook over here, but I want you to see that this, once you get it, you just roll it up just like a piece of yarn, and you roll it into a ball, and then you crochet with it, just like a piece of yarn or anything else. Hello, I just saw Martika. Welcome and thank you for coming. Hello, Cassandra, and welcome. And anyone else who came in the live that I didn't see. So now, dun, 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 now we're going to talk about making a quilt out of old clothes. I actually like this dress, but it's such nice denim. Guess what? I'm going to cut it up for you guys so that you can see. And you can see this is perfect. These pockets, these pockets would be jamming on a tote bag. Well, maybe I won't cut the whole thing up right now, but this is called deboning, whether it's a shirt or whatever, and you just take your old clothes that you haven't worn for a long time, you don't want, maybe they're too small, some of you are on diets, too big. Then you cut it open. Take the buttons off. I'm actually going to save this little strip because I might use it for something. Look at all of this fabric. Clearly, clearly you guys can see how much fabric is in this dress. I'm actually going to cut it all up. Trying to think what size blocks I'll make because it's so much fabric and such big pieces. I think that I can actually make 10 inch, 8.5 inch blocks out of them. Out of them. So, this is how, to summarize, this is how you make, start to make quilts out of old fabrics. The first thing you do out of old clothes is just take them apart, wash them, iron them, and lay them flat. Lay them flat. So I wanted to show you. I'm sure I thought I had some black batting over here, but maybe not. Maybe not. And to summarize for those of you who weren't here last week, here are a couple of blocks that I sewed. With two different zebra prints, and to show you how you actually make a block. These are the half square triangles. One half is one color, one half is the other. Okay. This one goes here to make a pinwheel. And then this one goes here. Do you see the shape? Now, say if I wanted a diamond in the inside, I just change it and turn it this way. You can mix and match them. That's what I did with the purple block that was in back of me on the chair. This is a diamond shape. A chevron, they move up and down. You see this one going up, these two blocks. And you just play with them and make them any way that you want to. Hello, Mona, sifting some soil, and welcome. Thank you for coming. I was just talking about you. Mona likes to get up at night on sifting some soil, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I wake up to make my nightly walk down the hall, and I'll hear them talking and go in sometime. But I'm going to start getting up and coming in and joining them and doing some of my arts and crafts while they're up moving around, so that the things that I don't want to do, I'll do them while they're laughing and talking and joking in the background. Okay, you guys, so thanks for coming, and I'll end it just about now. Thanks everybody for coming, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share garden quilt and art traditions. Thank you. Yes, these are my items from the Dollar Tree. So thank you for coming, and I hope to see you again next week. And we will get started on some other things.